Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshichandra. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 15th of December. Indian President Kovind begins three-day visit to Bangladesh to attend 50th Victory Day celebrations. Taliban rule marked by killings, denial of women's rights, says UN. And PM Sher Bahadur Deuba re-elected as Nepali Congress party president. And now for all the details. Bangladesh on Wednesday accorded a red carpet welcome to Indian President Nath Kovind upon his arrival in Dhaka on a maiden three-day state visit to attend the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bangladesh's independence. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the 1971 India-Pakistan war that had resulted in the liberation of Bangladesh. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and Foreign Minister Abdul Momen paid separate courtesy call on the Indian President and held discussions on issues of mutual interest and bilateral cooperation. Indian President Nath Kovind on Wednesday arrived on a three-day visit to Bangladesh to join the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bangladesh's independence from Pakistan in 1971. Bangladesh President Abdul Hamid along with his wife received Kovind at Dhaka's Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport. As part of the welcome ceremony at the airport, the Bangladesh Army, the Navy and the Air Force personnel offered him a guard of honor from where he was escorted to the National Martyrs Memorial at Savar on the outskirts of the capital Dhaka. He also visited Bangabandhu Memorial Museum and paid his respects to Bangladesh's founding father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Deepening India-Bangladesh fraternal ties, Bangladesh Foreign Minister Abdul Momen called on President Kovind and apprised him of the excellent progress in bilateral cooperation and of future joint projects, including in the area of connectivity. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also paid a courtesy call on the Indian President. Both leaders discussed several issues of mutual interest and bilateral cooperation between India and Bangladesh. This is President Kovind's first trip abroad since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the 1971 India-Pakistan war that had resulted in the liberation of Bangladesh. The last batch of Indian farmers finally vacated their protest site at the borders of capital New Delhi and returned home amid dance and celebrations on Wednesday. The farmer unions had announced the suspension of their one-year-long agitation to repeal the three farm laws last week after the government conceded to their demands, including formation of a committee to discuss guaranteed prices for all crops.
The last batch of Indian farmers on Wednesday vacated their protest site at the borders of capital New Delhi amid dance and celebrations after the suspension of their one-year-long agitation to repeal the three farm laws, which were finally revoked by the government on November 29. Farmers had been camping out at the borders of New Delhi since last November to oppose the legislation that aimed to deregulate the agriculture sector. The government abandoned its plans, but thousands of farmers still remained camped out on highways to press for another key demand, to extend a system of guaranteed crop prices, to which the government agreed on December 9. Prominent farmer leader Rakesh Tikait, while leaving for his hometown, said that the farmers have got back their respect.
ये किसान का सम्मान लौटा है, मान सम्मान वापसी हुआ है। जो किसान गांव गरीब नौजवान दबा हुआ था, उसको एक किस्म से आजादी मिली है, बोलने की आजादी, अपनी भाषा में अपनी बात कहने की आजादी उसको मिली है। इसको ये कह सकते हैं, गांव जा रहे हैं और इसमें सब लोगों का बड़ा सहयोग इसमें रहा।
Farmer leaders have said they are suspending their agitation for now, but will hold a review meeting on January 15 to see if the government has fulfilled their demands.
In news from Pakistan, amid a severe gas crisis in Pakistan, the country's Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry has warned gas reserves are depleting by 9% each year and will not be available in Pakistan in a few years. Meanwhile, opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif has slammed the government over the discontinuation in gas supply to private industry and local production units.
Pakistan's Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry has warned of impending gas crisis, saying the gas will not be available in the country in a few years. Addressing press conference on Tuesday, Chaudhry said gas reserves were depleting by 9% each year. He stressed that people getting gas at cheaper rates in big cities should now change their habits. This trend will not continue for long anymore, he said. The minister also urged people to pray that the price of oil comes down globally.
गैस 9% हमारे यहाँ हर साल डिप्लीट हो रही है. पिछले साल 9% डिप्लीट हुई, इस साल फिर 9% डिप्लीट हो रही है और उसके नतीजे में आपके पास चंद सालों में गैस नहीं रहेगी. और ख़ुसूसन ये जो बड़े शहरों में लोग जो बहुत सस्ती गैस के आदी हो चुके हैं, इनको अपनी आदतें जो हैं वो बार बदलनी होंगी.
Meanwhile, PML and President and opposition leader in the National Assembly Shehbaz Sharif in a statement lashed out at the government over the discontinuation in gas supply to private industry and local production units. He also blamed Prime Minister Imran Khan for plunging the country into a sea of inflation, poverty and unemployment.
In a speech to the Human Rights Council on Tuesday, Nath al-Nashif, UN Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights, described Taliban rule as being marked by extrajudicial killings across Afghanistan and restrictions on women's and girls' basic rights. Nashif said more than 100 former Afghan National Security Forces and others have been killed since the Taliban takeover in August, most at the hands of the hardline Islamist group.
More than 100 former Afghan National Security Forces and others have been killed since the Taliban takeover in August, most at the hands of the hardline Islamist group, which is recruiting boy soldiers and questioning women's rights, the UN said on Tuesday. Nath al-Nashif, UN Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights, said that in addition, at least 50 suspected members of a local affiliate of Islamic State known as ISIS Khorasan, an ideological foe of the Taliban, died by hanging and beheading. In a speech to the Human Rights Council, she described Taliban rule as being marked by extrajudicial killings across the country and restrictions on women's and girls' basic rights.
We are also alarmed by continuing reports of extrajudicial killings across the country, despite the general amnesty announced by the Taliban after 15 August. Between August and November, we received credible allegations of more than 100 killings of former Afghan National Security Forces and others associated with the former government, with at least 72 of these killings attributed to the Taliban.
Families face severe poverty and hunger this winter amid reports of child labor, early marriages and even the sale of children, al-Nashif said. She added that Taliban decree early this month fails to refer to women's and girls' rights to education, work and their freedom of movement and to participate in public life. Afghanistan's envoy from the former government accused the Taliban of committing a wide range of abuses, including targeted killings and enforced disappearances. Nasir Ahmad Andisha, Kabul's UN ambassador to the UN in Geneva, who is still recognized by the world body, said that credible reports have testified accounts of ethnic and tribal purging in several provinces of the country.
In news from Nepal, Nepal's largest democratic party, the Nepali Congress, on Wednesday re-elected Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba as the party president. According to the 14th General Convention of the party, Deuba secured 2,733 votes during the second round of election, defeating Shekhar Koirala, who secured 1,855 votes.
Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba has secured a comfortable majority, securing the post of party president for the second consecutive term after the second round of voting in the General Convention of the ruling Nepali Congress. The 75-year-old five-time Prime Minister secured 2,733 votes, leaving his contender Dr. Shekhar Koirala behind with 1,855 votes as per the final results published by the Election Committee on Wednesday. Deuba earlier in the first round faced four other candidates vying for the same post, which led to a runoff that was held till Tuesday late night. Upon getting support from influential leaders Krishna Prasad Sitola, Prakash Man Singh, Bimlendra Nidhi and Shekhar Koirala in the runoff, Deuba secured the majority. In the 1991 elections, Deuba was elected to the House of Representatives from Dhura, where he was born in 1946. Deuba was again elected from the same constituency in the 1994 midterm elections and was elected parliamentary party leader of the Nepali Congress. He has been the president of the party since 2016.
Moving on, passengers travelling from New Delhi to Nepal's capital Kathmandu were elated as the bus service between India and Nepal resumed on Wednesday after being suspended for over 1.5 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The bus service operated by the Delhi Transport Corporation connecting the capital cities of India and Nepal was launched in November 2014. However, the operation was shut down in March 2020 amid the first wave of the pandemic. It is mandatory for all the passengers to carry certificate of both doses of COVID vaccine and negative RT-PCR test report conducted within 72 hours before boarding. Both India and Nepal have in recent days reported a decline in active cases of COVID-19.
यहाँ पे लगभग डेली रूटीन पे लोग आते जाते रहते हैं, तो इसके लिए आपको कुछ प्राइवेट जो बसें थी उसमें प्रॉपर तरीके से चालू नहीं हो रही थी, प्लस काफ़ी ज़्यादा सिक्योरिटी रीजंस थे। तो इसी बीच में जैसे चालू हुआ तो शुरुआत में काफ़ी अच्छा है क्योंकि इससे सिक्योरिटी का भी काफ़ी ध्यान रखा जाता है, प्लस डायरेक्ट बस होता है, बीच में कुछ दिक्कत की बातें नहीं आती है।
The famous and rare Manohari Gold Tea, variety produced by a tea estate in India's northeastern Assam state, was sold for Rs 99,999 per kilogram in an auction held on Tuesday. It is being claimed that this is the highest price ever paid for tea in a public auction. Assam teas are valued for their rich taste, bright liquors, and are considered to be one of the choicest teas in the world.
Manohari Gold Tea, a rare variety of tea produced in India's northeastern Assam, has created history by breaking its own record as it was sold for around Rs 99,999 rupees, that is nearly $1,314 per kilogram, on December 14 at the Guwahati Tea Auction Centre on Tuesday. It is being claimed that this is the highest price ever paid for tea in a public auction. It was bought by a local trader. In 2020, the tea was auctioned at Rs 75,000 or $986 per kilogram, creating a record for the third successive year.
जो आज मनोहरी का चाय बिका है, ये जो मनोहरी गोल्ड है, वो बहुत स्पेशलिटी टी है। ये जो प्लाकिंग करता है, प्लाकिंग का भी प्रोसीड्यूर बहुत अलग है और इसका बनाने का तरीका भी बहुत अलग है। तो ये इस टाइप का अलग अलग तरीके का बहुत एक्सपेंसिव चाय भी आजकल आसाम में बनने लगा।
Assam is one of the world's largest tea growing regions as the industry has continued to grow for 200 years now in the northeastern state, and Assam tea is very famous in the world for its rich taste.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Indian President Kovind begins 3-day visit to Bangladesh to attend 50th Victory Day celebrations. Taliban rule marked by killings, denial of women's rights, says UN. And PM Sher Bahadur Deuba re-elected as Nepali Congress party president. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.